We have a new update regarding Nolan Wells, and I'm going to say it. It is a bombshell piece of information regarding the Nolan Wells investigation.
6 days ago, we told you Nolan Wells' phone was still sitting in limbo, an agreement in principle, no date, no movement. That's no longer true. Something happened. It just isn't what anyone expected. On August 12th, at almost midnight, the Jackson County District Attorney's Office sent Nolan's family a letter. Not a proposed date for the joint forensic examination everyone said they wanted. A deadline. Hand over the phone by 9 a.m., August 14th. Less than 48 hours notice, and Nolan's parents weren't even in the state when it arrived. The family's attorneys wrote back the next day, and their letter is public. Their position: that's not the joint examination anyone agreed to on July 15th. That's, give us the phone, we'll go through it, and we'll get back to you. Which is a different thing entirely from 3 sets of experts sitting in the same room at the same time. So here's where this actually stands. The family didn't refuse. They countered, offering the DA's office any window between August 18th and 21st, with 12 hours notice, so their own forensic team and Dr. Mitchell could be there too. They're also asking, in that same letter, to finally get Dr. Mitchell access to the retained body tissue that's been stuck in the exact same kind of limbo since July. The DA's office responded days later, not walking anything back, but reminding everyone that state law limits what she can say publicly about an active death investigation, and that she doesn't control what other parties choose to release. Both of those things are now sitting in public letters, on the record, telling different versions of the same story. What's actually unresolved isn't just a date anymore. According to the family's own filing, nobody has agreed yet on the forensic protocol itself, chain of custody, how the extraction gets preserved, who gets access to the data afterward, when the phone comes back. Those are the details that were supposed to get worked out before this became a standoff, and they still haven't been. This is a true crime documentary about a case where the biggest development in 6 weeks isn't a new photo or a new theory. It's a filing deadline that came and went, and the paper trail it left behind. If you've been with us through the last 2 updates, you already know how this case works. The loudest theory online is rarely the most important thing actually happening. Subscribe and turn on notifications if you want the next update the moment it's real, not the moment it's viral. And tell me where you're watching from in the comments. Let's go through exactly what's in these letters.
Over the last couple of days, you've heard me say that the family is waiting for the district attorney to get in touch with them to schedule that joint investigation and cell phone extraction. We just found out on August 13th, which was literally just 2 days ago, that said district attorney Mickelrath of the Jackson County, Mississippi, decided to send another letter to the family stating, you have 48 hours to drop off the cell phone. I'm sorry, is that the same thing as a joint investigation? Words are, you have 48 hours to drop off the cell phone, or you have 48 hours to, possess the cell phone for us? Is that the same thing as saying we're going to have a joint investigation? Don't you worry, I'm going to show you the letter right now. Here is the actual letter sent from A.R. Smith, the same attorney that sent out the letter on August 11th. I want to point your attention to right here. To date, Nolan's parents remain willing to facilitate an appropriate forensic examination of Nolan Wells' phone, including FBI involvement, according to our agreement on July 15th. However, your letter sent to Eric Hertz on August 12th at 12:51 p.m. set a deadline for Wednesday to deliver the phone to your office by August 14th at 9 a.m. This is not practical for a number of reasons. Now, that's a 2-page letter. I just showed you one of the excerpts, but the reason why it's not practical is 2 big reasons. And again, this is in that actual letter if you guys want to look it up. The first reason was that you agreed that there would be a joint investigation into the cell phone extraction investigation. But you're saying you need to drop the phone off at the office on August 14th at 9 a.m. That doesn't strike me as a joint investigation. That strikes me as, give us the phone, we'll go through it, and then we'll get back to you later. The second reason why it's impractical is because at the time, the Wells family was actually nowhere near Mississippi or nowhere near an area where they could actually drop it off and be compliant with that deadline. So those are the 2 main reasons why. Now, again, you guys can read the letter yourself. But this now makes sense. This is why the family is so concerned, and this is why the family is so upset. Because the DA now is essentially going back on what they said, saying, we want you to drop off the phone on August 14th, when on July 15th, they said, we will do a joint investigation together. This is why the Wells family is so frustrated with this investigation. And this is why they're trying to get the Department of Justice involved. This is why all the leadership are getting involved in this, is because the family was under the expectation that the district attorney in Jackson County, Mississippi, was going to do a joint investigation based on the July 15th.
Let's actually walk through what these letters say, because the specific wording matters more than the summary of it. The family's team isn't arguing that a phone examination shouldn't happen. They're arguing about how. Back on July 15th, at that same meeting where the retained tissue agreement got made, the plan for the phone was described the same way, in almost the same words, by attorney Liza Park weeks later at a press conference. One examination, one time. Everyone in the room together, the DA's forensic team, the family's own experts, possibly the FBI, all watching the same download happen. So there's no argument later about what was found versus what could have been altered along the way. We're ready for it to happen, she said. That's not a stall tactic. That's actually a pretty standard forensic best practice. The same logic used any time evidence gets examined in a case where both sides need to trust the result. A letter demanding the device be dropped off by a specific morning isn't that. It's the phone changing hands alone, before anyone's agreed on who's allowed to touch it, how the data gets pulled, or what happens to it afterward. That's the actual disagreement. Not whether the phone gets examined, but whether it gets examined the way everyone said it would back in July. And this didn't happen in a vacuum. This past week was also Nolan Wells' 19th birthday. There was a vigil. His mother didn't get to call him. 6 weeks of an unresolved phone dispute isn't just a procedural story. It's 6 more weeks a family has had to wait, on top of everything else, for a piece of evidence everyone agrees should already be settled. That's where this stands right now. 2 sides, 2 letters, 1 phone, and a birthday that already came and went without an answer.
But just to clarify, what the agreement was that the DA's office, and this is the Jackson County DA's office, as well as our forensic team, and possibly the FBI, were going to together download and examine the phone. So it's done one time with everybody together, right? This is very common in the law. I mean, what you all may be more used to is when there's a terrible car accident and then there's an examination of that car and everybody comes together one time. They don't move that car around and everybody does their own thing. This is what is supposed to happen. We are waiting for the DA to determine the time, the place, the date. Let us know, and we are going to be there with our forensics team and anybody else, but it's done one time, one examination.
This was just sent to me in my inbox, and then I was quite shocked. I was like, holy crap. So then that's whose page it's on, but she said that she's not the original poster. And then when you click in the comments, she says that she's trying to find the original poster. Holy camole. What do you guys think about that?
That's right, I've gotten my 4th one. Normally I just re-record it. It was like a 9-minute video, y'all. I don't have the bandwidth today. It's pretty much the same. It's just Nerdy Pink Panda 00. I tag myself in the comment section, so make sure y'all like and interact that. Kind of accidentally walk myself into a theory. Is gonna be my last video for a couple of days to give myself a chance to recharge. You know, unless something absolutely insane comes out. And alright, after this I'm probably gonna take a couple days off because my brain needs a rest after the last couple of days. Now we know for sure that there was storage in the bow of the boat. Alright, so now at this point, I am pretty sure that the Triton was there all day. They didn't switch out the boats. And I'm also pretty certain at this point that this is a real video because there's one single frame where you can see Bart's boat and you can also see the toes of somebody like dangling them off the water. So if the picture or video were AI, it would be a really bizarre thing for it to just kind of throw in. But there's zero question in my mind that this video has been altered. So then the question becomes, why would they alter this video? And the only thing that logically makes sense to me is to alter the identity of the 2 girls. Because if Carter is the boy in red, Wyatt is the boy in the American shorts, Bart's brother Brooke being the one in the navy blue shorts, and then Ike being the one in the teal shorts. Then we've got Warren up here with somebody in this red striped swimsuit and the girl in the teal swimsuit with the backwards hat. So in this picture, this would be Brooks, this would be Ike, this would be Wyatt, This would be Warren, which would leave this to be Carter. Now, whoever this is seems to be very cuddly with Carter. Like, too cuddly, in my opinion, for it to be like a mother or a family member. Thinking about it a lot from the timeline that we have been told, and what we haven't really been factoring in again is the party. Because remember, Warren said he went to the party, but instead of talking with all of his friends, he went upstairs to go talk with his girlfriend's dad. Now, those families are tight, so if that dad of Ava, if that conversation with the dad didn't happen, then they would automatically know that they were lying. So I've been saying for a while that the girl was somehow involved. And mind you, everybody's back on land now. They're getting ready to do the fireworks, and everybody's swimming and drinking still, blah, blah, blah. So what's the excuse for no pictures at that party? They've explained it all away during the day, but at this point, they're all just being teenagers and having fun again, right? So I'm thinking that the brunette girl is Ava, the girl whose house they went to. And she's pretty close with Warren and the Pyrone family.
And they're full speed running. And then after that, I didn't see them anymore. I think you were on the boat. You start from there?
Yeah, so after we planed off, Wyatt kept the boat pinned the whole way in. We ran into the mouth of Fort Bayou, where we came from originally. And we turned into Fort Bayou, went in the channel, ran probably 500, 600 yards into Fort Bayou. Wyatt had jumped out of the boat, put the plug back in the boat so access water. So water didn't keep pushing and filling back the boat.
According to their own words, they went into the mouth and then they turned and they went about 500-600 feet. Now, mind you, the party house is right around, but they go past it and then loop back around. However, Warren just admitted that at some point they had to stop and Wyatt jumped in. Even then, you heard him stuttering over the story. Like, it wasn't a smooth transition because I think they dropped her off. Which would explain why they would go back to this party, because obviously they can't cancel the party. That looks really suspicious. Then my theory has always been that the guys all like broke off and like talked to the parents about what was going on, and that's when they formulated their whole we'll call her and then we'll call the Coast Guard plan. Remember, she is related. Somehow I can't figure out, but she is related through marriage to the lieutenant that wrote up the very initial report we've seen. Because remember how Morgan claimed that the picture of the boat stuff was circulating around Snapchat and stuff, even though Christine didn't post it to her Facebook page until the next day. Listen to this.
His mom was, what was he wearing? And so we were trying to remember what color his shorts were. We couldn't quite figure that out.
I said black.
Yeah, I think we said black.
I really did. He was wearing navy blue shorts.
Yeah, it was like dark blue shorts.
Dark, and I just said black because I was trying to ace everything together and help out.
And so at this point, we're freaking out. We don't know where our friend's at. And the girl that took the picture, she was like, okay, well, I just took this picture of today. This is what color swim trunks he was wearing. And his mom asked for that to post on Facebook to say, if you've seen him, whatever, this is what he was wearing.
So remember, the girl who took the picture with the digital camera was on Wyatt's boat at the beginning of the day and then was there with them at night when they were having this discussion. So she had to have been there at the beginning and at the party at the very least. Then we remembered that the original shorts picture, well, that wasn't the color of his shorts, as we now know. So we also know for a fact that this picture did not get sent to Christine until July 5th, meaning that they had to have had that picture and then not sent it to her for hours. Because they also said this.
And so that's what we sent to her, or that's what she sent to her, because we were just trying.
So they corrected themselves. He said, we sent it. No, she sent it.
Or that's what she sent to her, because we were just trying.
So they corrected themselves. He said, we sent it. No, she sent it. And on July 5th, Christine said that they have been up for almost 48 hours straight. And then the very next post above it are the same pictures, but better quality. Why did it take so long to get these pictures to them? Oh, and y'all, now that I said that, I realize. So all of these pictures had to come from the same digital camera, right? Meaning this picture did as well. And since I've already proven that this picture had used AI to do something weird because, you know, there was no little bar here, only explanation for using AI on just this little part would be to obscure the reflection that was in this pole of the person who was taking the video. Or the pictures. Oh my God, yes. That makes sense. Love it when I figure that stuff out in real time for you on camera. So it makes sense to me that this photo video thing was altered to cover up this girl's swimsuit. Because let's face it, this swimsuit is the ugliest thing. It has like supposedly like sleeves and it's a tankini, but it goes like in a weird cut, but it's ugly. It's ugly and it's clearly not what these debutante beauty queen girls are wearing to a 4th of July beach party. So I'm like 70% sure that this is Ava. Oh wait, oh my God. Wait a second. Shown y'all guys before that there's 4 boats out here in this little cluster, right? But I'm looking at these weird pink lumps and stuff at the front of the boat, Bart's boat here. Is that a pile of life vests? Because I'm realizing there's not 20, 30 people on all of these boats. Like, I'm seeing 10, 12 people here tops. Let's not forget what a full house looks like on these boats. Because even in this video at the meetup place, there's not 20, 30 people getting ready to get on these boats. I mean, the boat left at 9:56 according to the GPS. We got like 7, 8 people here, like 6 people here. And also, if they were legitimately needing to be towed and they were trying to get the water to run off, why are they all spread out on the boat? Why are they on the boat in general? Why didn't they just get off on land or get on another boat? Trying to get the boat to tip up and go planing, why do you have over half the boat on the front of the boat? These are experienced fucking fishermen. They know better than that. Yeah, I can't believe I've never thought of that before. If the boat was sinking, why are they even on the fucking boat? Yeah, and if it was so common and so easy to get, rides back with other people, strangers on Horn Island, why did they need to load everybody on the boat? Yelling at Nolan to get on the boat. They didn't need to get him on the boat. And now that I'm looking at this, doesn't it look like Warren is on the phone? Could this have been when he was calling his mom 8 times? Also, one more thing that stuck out to me.
We called law enforcement. I was with Wyatt at the time. After we left Jackson's house that night, I was with Wyatt, and one person we were with saw that their location was headed towards Wyatt's house. And so Wyatt got on the phone with 911 and was like, hey, these people are on the way to my house or already at my house. My mom and my dad are there alone, and they know nothing about this.
He stumbled over his words from beginning to end in that story, so I don't believe any of it. But the one thing that sticks out to me was the phrasing, they don't know anything about this. If people are heading over to your house, why wouldn't you call your mom and dad before you called 911? Because it sounded like he was trying to keep his parents out of the loop of this story, which as a teenage boy implies that you have something to hide.
Javon sure came for you in the comments section, didn't he?
5 other people that also left their phones on the boat, and we had to wait at the boat launch for them to come and pick them up, including Javon. I mean, Javon left his phone on our boat.
That man said, stop lying. You're doing too much. And I think that is the problem. This is why y'all keep doing these interviews, and it's not helping any of you guys. Y'all lies are catching up with you. And this is the funny part. And I'm gonna keep bringing this up because I loved how you paint the narrative that because Miss Christine posted the picture of what Nolan had on that day and you guys were included, you guys made yourself relevant. Because at per the CETO call, we were only interested or paying attention to several other people, but you continuously, even in this video, are making yourself relevant. But I guess y'all thought Javon was scared or nervous or he wasn't afraid to speak, but eventually everyone else would get like that. They'll start being honest about what really happened. I love how Javon is coming for y'all because y'all not about to play with Javon, he said, okay?
The reason why Jax looks like he can't no longer take this is because Jax actually had a relationship with Nolan Wells, and Jax seen what happened firsthand, and he's being forced to keep his mouth shut to protect his younger brother, allegedly. I can guarantee you, and I can bet you any amount of money, Jax tried to stop him, and he couldn't because he is not as strong or as big as these other boys. Jax is also the weakest link, and Warren knows that. Jack has to keep quiet because of all the connections that Warren and his mother have. You gotta shut up. You gotta be quiet because his future's at jeopardy. His family might not be as wealthy, not saying that they broke, not saying, but when I mean by wealthy, I mean wealthy and connected as Warren's mama is, because she's a judge. Ain't no telling what type of dirt that Warren and them people got on his people. See how you gotta start looking at things? He looks terrified. He looks like he was threatened. He looked like he was told what to say. And that's why Warren is watching him so closely. I want to make sure you're saying everything that I told you to say before we got up here. Don't say nothing else.
While the family's team has been sending letters, the other side of this case has been doing something worth knowing about too. This week, attorneys representing several of Nolan's friends, Ed Paltzik and Michael Cox, sat down for their own interview, and one detail in it deserves more attention than it's gotten. According to them, their clients didn't wait to be subpoenaed. They voluntarily turned their own phones over to the FBI. No court order required. Whatever else is unresolved in this case, that's not the posture of people trying to hide something on their own devices. The attorneys also gave a number that hasn't circulated much. 24 witnesses, specifically aboard the two boats at the center of this case, the Triton and the Tideline. 24 people who were actually there, whose accounts investigators now have to weigh against each other. And the attorneys said they're seriously considering their own legal action, a defamation lawsuit, potentially filed within days, against people who've made claims about their clients online. So here's the shape of where things actually stand, from both directions at once. The friends' side says, "We already gave up our own phones. We have 24 witnesses, and we're done absorbing accusations without a response." The family side says, "We still don't have Nolan's phone examined, 6 weeks later, the way everyone agreed it would be." Both of those can be true. Cooperation on one front doesn't cancel out a stalled process on another, and a family's frustration doesn't automatically mean bad faith from investigators. What it actually means is that this case now has multiple parties, on multiple sides, all publicly documenting their own version of "we did our part," which is its own kind of unusual for an investigation that's supposed to still be quiet. One more voice worth including here, because it's neither side. Digital forensics expert Jake Green, who has no connection to this case, told a national outlet that a phone like Nolan's can hold exactly the kind of information everyone's arguing about: location histories, deleted message remnants, account access logs, but that the value of that data can degrade the longer an examination gets delayed. He wasn't taking a side on who's responsible for the wait. He was just pointing out that the wait itself has a cost, independent of who's causing it. And there's one more escalation worth naming plainly, because it's part of the same pattern we've tracked across every video in this series. Attorney Ben Crump has said Christine Wansley, Nolan's mother, has now experienced threats connected to her own workplace. Not online arguments, threats, reaching into her actual job, months after her son died, because of a case she didn't ask to be at the center of. There's a second piece of evidence stuck in the exact same kind of limbo as the phone, and it's easy to lose track of it because nobody's making a viral video about paperwork. Back in July, we told you that Dr. Roger Mitchell, the family's independent pathologist, wasn't given full access to Nolan's body during his original examination. Key tissue had already been retained by the state. That's not new. What's new is that the same letter demanding clarity on the phone also asked, specifically, for Mitchell to finally get that access. The family's attorneys named exact dates: Wednesday, August 19th, through Friday, August 21st. Mitchell said he was available. They asked the DA's office to pick a window inside that. As of the most recent reporting, that hasn't happened either. So, here's the actual shape of this case right now, and it's worth saying plainly, because it's easy to miss under everything else. There are two separate, agreed-upon forensic examinations, one of a phone, one of retained body tissue, that both sides say they want, that both have specific proposed dates for, and neither of which has actually taken place, 6 weeks after the body was found. That's not a theory, that's just where the paperwork currently sits. There's also an update on the federal side of this. The Congressional Black Caucus gave the Department of Justice 7 days to respond to their request for a federal review. They got a response, right on schedule, and it said almost nothing. The DOJ's actual statement. They've received the letter, and the appropriate personnel are reviewing it carefully. That's it. Not a yes, not a no. An acknowledgement that the letter exists. Reverend Al Sharpton, standing at the same press conference, said the quiet part out loud, that there was a time civil rights leaders could count on the Justice Department stepping in when state investigations stalled, and that he wasn't sure this was still that time. That's his read, not a fact about what will or won't happen next. But it's a fair snapshot of where the pressure campaign actually stands. A federal agency confirming receipt of a letter isn't the same as a federal agency opening an investigation. And right now, that's the entire extent of what's changed. One line from the caucus's own letter is worth repeating, because it's close to this whole video's thesis in a sentence. An information vacuum doesn't stay empty. When investigators go quiet, something rushes in to fill the space, and it's rarely the truth. Here's what this really comes down to, once you set aside the theories. 6 weeks after Nolan Wells died, the biggest open question isn't who's lying in an interview. It's why 2 pieces of physical evidence, his phone and the tissue his family's pathologist still needs to examine, are still sitting exactly where they were the last time we checked in. Not because anyone's hiding what's on them, because nobody's finished agreeing on the paperwork that lets anyone look. That's frustrating. It's also, unfortunately, normal. Real forensic examinations move slower than true crime commentary does, because the whole point of doing it carefully is making sure whatever gets found actually holds up later, in a courtroom, not just a comment section. So here's where things actually stand. A phone, agreed to be examined jointly, still not examined. Retained tissue, same story. A district attorney legally limited in what she can say publicly, and a family running out of patience with waiting quietly. Neither one of those things proves the other side is acting in bad faith. It just means 6 weeks in, this case still doesn't have the 2 pieces of evidence most likely to actually answer something. We'll be back the moment either of those things changes, not the moment someone claims they did. This is a true crime documentary built on that distinction. Video after video. What's actually confirmed versus what just sounds like it should be. If you want the next update the moment it's real, subscribe and turn on notifications. Tell me in the comments, do you think this phone dispute gets resolved before the grand jury even convenes? Or does the grand jury end up moving without it? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.